Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spider Hands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today gonna checking out some tracks from an album by an act named King Cobra titled Rebel Revolution. So if we switch over to here, we've got it on Music B, made the album alright big. There we go, King Cobra, Rebel Revolution. Alright, cool, we're gonna listen to this from start till finish, these 6 tracks, and we're gonna hear what we think, starting with Rebel Revolution. Let's go. So like if I listen to this, I think listening to this I can sort of tell I'm trying to figure out how this was recorded. Rebel Revolution. The rhythm guitar is very free to sort of do whatever it wants. You've got these kind of higher, kind of growly, kind of squealy kind of vocals, and then you've got like the clean vocals as like a backing. I don't even know like how he's doing that with his voice. It's pretty wild, man. Like, that's... Because there's like double takes on the vocals, isn't there? I like how the guitars and drums sound together. I'm trying to figure out if they were like, how did you record those? Were these recorded via drum mics or... Because like the vocals sound a lot fresher in the mix. I mean, like, the Rebel Revolution. I mean, like looking at the structure of like a typical kind of middle track, I can understand why the solo was put there. And it kind of sounds like in the same sort of tonality to what the vocals are doing. And I can understand why they had the kind of shreddy stuff going because I mean, like, because this is very. I wonder if they what kind of recording style they're going for. It kinds me of like a lot of the kind of black metal from the 90s. I mean, that was Rebel Revolution. I assume they're looking for a solution to the issues that plague society at this point in time. That's what that track is about. The groove was really steady throughout. The drums, I'm not sure whether there was like an acoustic drum kit or whether it was like a triggered one. I mean, either way, the kicks were nice and pumping. I get the impression that I'm just wondering how they recorded these instruments. Society's Anxiety. We have a similar tone for these tracks, which is good. You know, we have consistency across the recording, across the album. I actually like this one a little bit better. You've got these like really wild higher register vibrato parts that come in after the kind of the growls and stuff like that. Are these the focal points? Are these the things that they want us to focus on? The drums are quite well programmed. I like that fill that occurred there. There's like a little bit of pumping going on with the guitar and drum tracks. I'm just wondering what's been applied to like the mastering chain, you know? So, like, is the guitar solo supposed to be sort of emulating the chaos and just what all the crazy crap going on? Is that what it's meant to represent? Because it's frenetic, man. Like, the growly vocals are actually recorded surprisingly well. Like, I wonder how they decided where to do the really high-pitched kind of stuff. Like, I can see potential in these tracks. I think that, like, the main sort of themes they're instantiated at the start of them are good. And I think that the guitar and bass and drum tracks work really well. And I think it's good. And I like the fact that we're really hammering home the hook line of each of these tracks. I know this isn't like a pop track, but you get what I mean. It helps you to keep up with it. I've just got so many questions about how they did this and what their like production direction was. Because it's one of the most experimental avant-garde pieces of metal I've heard in my entire life. I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. Because again, I think some of the elements in here are kind of cool with how they go together. I haven't really heard a lot of vocals like that. I think it's cool that we're doing something different. And I think that some of these guitar solos are kind of dope. I'm wondering how they recorded that guitar tone. Because the thing is, the drums aren't actually, it's not like there's massive issues with like the levels or anything like that. The vocals sound like they're loud in the mix. But the drums are there, man. They are there. It just sounds like maybe the limiters like applied quite aggressively. But at least you are going to know by the end of each track what it is about. Awaken your senses. This is an 8.5 minute track. This is as long as Master of Puppets by Metallica. Or just a little bit longer, I think.
Count backwards from 4 to 1 as you exhale. Awaken your senses, awaken your third eye. Hail King Cobra, hail the high power, hail to the fallen angels, hail to the demons. Awaken your senses.
I mean, it's cool to have sort of like a sort of an atmospheric sort of like element to it like this.
A circle of energy with no beginning.
It's nice to have these kind of sort of pads. It's very creepy sounding. Very creepy sounding stuff.
Power to the people. Lucifer's light guides us. Breathe in, counting to 4 as you inhale. Count backwards from 4 to 1 as you exhale. Awaken your senses, awaken your third eye. Hail King Cobra, hail the high power, hail to the fallen angels, hail to the demons. Awaken your senses, awaken your third eye. The power is inside and all around, a circle of energy with no beginning and never ending. The black flame to light my green smoke. Power to the people. Awaken your third eye. Hail King. Awaken your third eye. Awaken your senses. I am empowered, I am awakened, encircled by the light.
Just to pause for a moment. That there, 2.5 minutes, is the length of a typical single nowadays. I kind of am almost proud of King Cobra for having the courage to have a song have a
Awaken your
2.5 minute
senses.
long intro to a track, because that's just so rare nowadays. Do you know what I mean? You just don't get that anymore.
Lucifer, the devil himself, say to me,
We
praise
have
the
one
ether
song below the
God.
4 minute mark, which is Hell Satan Smoke Weed 2.
Dark powers guide us on this righteous path of Lucifer. Black flame to light my green smoke.
I think I can hear some ground noise in the recording of the vocal parts.
Awaken
Just
your
for like
senses, awaken
future
your third
future
eye.
recordings, would wholeheartedly recommend, if you're interested, if you're watching this, just have a double check the cable that you're using. If you're using like a dynamic or a condenser mic, just double check the cable you're using, and
Empowerment all
you really want to use
around.
closed back headphones when you record, so that nothing leaks out of your headphones when you're doing the vocal parts. Because I get the impression, like, actually sounds kind of creepy even with like the ground noise.
Hail the inner power.
But like I think I can tell that they've kind of cut bits of audio, I think because they're aware of that ground noise. But even then, you can probably put like a noise gate in there just to kind of cut out those. Or maybe the noise gate isn't there. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a noise gate and that's what's getting rid of it.
Awaken your senses, awaken your third eye.
We're just doing this. This is what we're doing. Is this the song? Is this the song?
Empowerment all around.
I have not heard anything like this before. I haven't.
Hail the god/goddess within us.
I mean, I gotta hand it to them. Like, this is a ballsy move.
Awaken your senses,
Having
awaken your third eye.
having an 8.5 minute song with this, because like with music, right? Typically, what you want to do is sort of introduce a concept, and then you want to sort of develop it. I lost where it was.
Empowerment all around.
And like we developed this concept of this track within like the first 30 seconds.
Awaken your senses, awaken your
And
third eye.
so we're just really hammering that in. And I kind of get it. I get that this is sort of like a meditative state or something like that, which is sort of trying to be induced. It's very different to Society's Anxiety and Rebel Revolution, but there's these core concepts which are getting repeated. It's very different to what I'm used to listening to. I don't think I've listened to anything like this before.
Breathe in, counting before as you inhale. Count backwards from 4 to 1 as you exhale. Awaken your senses, awaken your third eye. Hail King Cobra. Hail the inner power. Hail to the fallen angels. Hail to the demons. Awaken your senses. Awaken your third eye. The power is designed and all around. A circle of energy.
Like, the most sort of experimental music I've listened to, I mean, there was one album which was about a journey around the world that I got sent through one time, which is pretty dope. I don't know what happened to that act. And then there's another person I listened to called Westchester who makes some of the wildest stuff, man. It's kind of dope.
Breathe in, counting to 4.
This is like a different kind of wild, though.
Count backwards from 4 to 1 as you exhale. Awaken your senses, awaken.
I assume that the rest of the tracks on this album are probably gonna be like the first two.
Hail the inner power. Hail to the fallen angels. Hail to the demons.
It would be good to learn more
Awaken
about the
your
artist.
senses.
I wonder why like we decided to do this for 8.5 minutes specifically.
Circle of energy.
Like, because if it was like a meditative thing, and I don't want to tell King Cobra how to do their tracks like this, you know, like, but usually like it's 10 minutes or something, like 20 minutes, right? No, 20 minutes is like if you have a nap. You want to have a power nap for like 20 minutes. You don't. You have like Opeth, like roses or something. There's a song that has roses or flowers involved in it, and it's 20 minutes. Will there be anything at the end that changes?
I'm empowered, I'm awakened, circled by the light.
Is this King Cobra saying this, or is it like a vocal sample that's been repeated? That's been taken from somewhere. I'm going to assume it's King Cobra. It could also be used as fair use, I guess. Depending on whether or not, like, this is like a criticism or like a review of something of within, like, you know, a concept. But that was that. That was Awaken Your Senses. We've got Hail Satan and Smokeweed 2. Let's go. Let's hear this. This is what I'm kind of more sort of familiar with. I gotta kind of commend these guys for the dynamic range on their vocals. They're not sort of like, they're not taking it low on it. They've got intensity. Like when they go in for those harmonies, they go in for those harmonies on the high range. Hopefully the vocal technique is, they're taking care of their throats, you know? Whoever did the drum programming for this, or the drum playing for this, is pretty solid. There's some really interesting grooves in there, you know? I think I figured out something. I'm not really hearing a lot in this side of the stereo field, on like either side, and I'm wondering if they've recorded this with like a mono mic or something like that. I'm wondering if that's the case. Because everything's coming in the center, right? I'm wondering if this has been sort of bounced in mono. Because like drums usually like, they go around, you know? Like you have the overhead mics and they go to left and right. And then you have like the toms kind of panned around it. And then you sort of double track the guitars. I reckon if King Cobra were just sort of like to double check the way that they recorded a few of these parts, they'd find that future recording is going to sound phenomenal. There's also the risk that we could have like recorded both guitars, but like not change the gain settings between them, because sometimes if you record in left and right and you don't make a small change, the guitarist can sort of like have issues with phasing, and so it can sort of ruin the stereo image of it. But it is nice and loud though. I mean, like, it's like I had to turn my headphones down a little bit. It's kind of wild. Guy's a really solid guitarist. Like, those kind of sweeps that he was doing there were clean for the most part. I'm liking how different the rhythm parts and the lead parts are as well. You know, the drums remain consistent in their grooves. There's like a lot of good elements here that really, I think that just with another check through, and I know it's difficult, like, I'm not saying these guys have done a bad job or anything with the way they recorded it, because like I can hear the individual elements of it. In fact, I could just be tripping, man, with the mono versus stereo stuff. Just sounds like everything's in the middle of the headphones. Then, of course, sometimes stereo panning, depending on the digital audio workstation, can be kind of weird. We got drink beer.
Drink up.
Have we got it like a pan flute in there? With these really grungy kind of metal drums? We do. We have an Irish flute. I'm kind of blown away by this. This is the wildest stuff I've listened to in quite a while. Dude, I don't even know like how to process this. I think whatever the drums are involved with, wherever they're coming through, also has the pan flute going through it, perhaps. What's super funny about that is that in New Zealand where I live, we can't smoke weed legally. And people love drinking beer here. And they're happy with that. Kind of. They're happy with getting super drunk in New Zealand. Oh, but someone killing their brains by smoking weed? I joke, I kid. I don't mind the green stuff, it's cool, man. I'm not gonna judge. My job is music reviewing. It's just such an eclectic, like, oh. It's just such an eclectic mix of stuff, you know? I don't really know. I get, like, literally why we have the flutes, because we've got the whole Guinness kind of thing, right? Or is that Scottish? I think Irish Guinness, right? Yeah. There's a lot of Irish pubs in New Zealand, so that's why I'm maybe making that assumption, you know? I'm sure there's Irish pubs elsewhere, but you know what I mean, like... We've got these down-tuned, distorted guitars with this flute, these happy, happy cherry flutes, and the drums, and these screamy, growly vocals, and these, like, big, massive harmonies. It's a wild song, dude. Drink beer. We've got Smoke Tobacco next, number 6. Smoke Tobacco? Is this an electric drum kit? Is someone playing the electric drums? I'm trying to figure out how the drums were done. Did they mic up the speaker of an electric drum kit? Like the amp that it was connected to? I have so many questions about the recording process here. I'll remember these guys for that vocal style. I get that these guys aren't the only people who use that kind of style. It's used in like black metal and also the more extreme metal genres, but it's very fascinating. There's a real kind of a filthiness to the overall production, not in like a bad way. It's very sort of organic in the way it's been sort of recorded and produced. There's a bomb, 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 a bomb, bomb, bomb happening in the background somewhere, and I can't figure out what that is. Just got some tapping stuff going on, man. That's dope. That's a sick little arpeggio we got going on. Moving that all around the fretboard. Nice, man. So this is about like smoking tobacco and being free to be able to do it, right? What doesn't kill us these days? I mean, I guess if that's the logic, yeah. Why worry about the cause when you smoke the cure? Wild, man. Wow. What a ride this has been. What a day it has been. That got me. That got me. Just that scream out of nowhere. I was like, what? That got me. That really got me. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that. That got me. That got me really good. I wasn't expecting it. Like, literally, that was the last thing I expected, and I don't know why. I think I just got kind of sucked in with the groove that was going on with the rhythm guitars, the drums and stuff. Wow. That was Rebel Revolution. What an album. I've got to turn my camera on and I've got to like, cuz I got to conclude this review, right? What do I want to say about Rebel Revolution just to finish up? I've never listened, in my time as a music reviewer, I have not listened to anything this avant-garde in almost every way, except for like the part where you use like random instruments and it kind of sounds kind of completely nonsensical. I like, aside from the instrument choice, which I think like drums, the kind of screamy, kind of growly stuff, the bass and all that, these are parts of metal. They're things you can kind of expect. And the riffs themselves, I get why we had this sort of chugging and then we had the really wild, crazy solos. I can understand why we had the topics of like Rebel Revolution is Society's Anxiety. I think Society's Anxiety is kind of catchy. Rebel Revolution is kind of catchy. Awaken your sen- I'll get into Awaken Your Senses after I talk about the rest of them because that one's a special case. How Satan Smoke Weed to Drink Beers. It's like this is freedom. This album is representing this act's sort of ideal utopian kind of freedom to just smoke weed, hail Satan, drink beer, and smoke tobacco. Rebel Revolution is society's anxiety. I understand why we're talking about this stuff because a lot of people get sucked into all this kind of BS that they don't necessarily need to. And what happens is they just, it destroys them because they have all these expectations from society and they can't live up to them. And then, even though they never chose to be a part of this being judged, all this kind of crap, they they blame themselves for it. And I can understand why these guys wanted to break away from that. The recording, I want to know how they did it. I want to know how King Cobra recorded their album like this. I have not really heard anything recorded like this before. It's one of the most fascinating, kind of gritty recordings I've listened to in my life. I really think that if the guitars had been recorded on either side, and if I can get some clarification on how the guitars were recorded, how the drums were done, just so I can understand that process itself. I think that if there was like a secondary album, and if we were able to sort of like pan the tom fills over the stereo field and have the bass and the guitar parts on the side, it's not even that it's not like it would suddenly become like mainstream or anything like that. It would sound huge and powerful. And I think that there's a lot of kind of cool ideas within this. I think that repeating the main concepts lyrically for the vast majority of these songs was a smart idea because it gets stuck in your head. I can say for sure, I am not gonna forget this album for at least not for a very long time. This is in my top 10 most fascinating albums. I'm going to be thinking about this all day. I love it. I adore it. These guys, whoever was involved, they tried their best to create their record and I think the ideas were good. Awaken Your Senses was quite a long time. That was quite a long track. It was 8.5 minutes. I can understand if it had been like 420 because we're talking about weed in this, right? You could have had Awaken Your Senses be 4 minutes 20, and that would have been like part of the meme, 420. And that would have been half the time, and you would have had like enough time for that would have been plenty of time to communicate the messages throughout that bit. But at 8 minutes 37, that's quite a long time. And I understand you're trying to sort of like set up an environment with that pad where people get sort of lost in it. But as a reviewer or someone who's paying attention to the elements, I can't, at least for me, I can't do that. I can't get sucked in because if I get sucked into something, regardless of the quality of it or whatever, what occurs is that I don't review it. I just listen to it. And then this makes for a very boring, kind of dull review video. Yeah, the start of this review was a lot slower than I expected it to be because I just needed time to process what was going on. I think that this is a good start. If we can work on the stereo panning for future releases, that'd be great. If you want any help with any of this stuff, I am a mixing and mastering engineer. I'll be happy to help. There's some really good musical concepts here. Just keep making music. Keep putting it out. Have fun. Enjoy yourselves. I can tell these guys, whoever was involved, they were having a great time. And that's the main thing. I've definitely heard sort of music that has been far less interesting than this and that I've disliked. You know, I think there'll I think there will be a niche that these guys will fit into, and then people will like their stuff. It'll be really cool to see what they do in future. It's so wild, man. But I think that most people will be able to sort of understand the smoke weed, drink beer, smoke tobacco part. Even if they disagree with it, you know, for whatever reason, if like you're super conservative or whatever, you know, you still get what they're talking about. And that's a lot more than I can say for a lot of stuff that I listen to nowadays. Some of it's just so obscure, so needlessly that it defeats the purpose of it being a medium to communicate with. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's my review of King Cobra's Rebel Revolution. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some support on the various social medias, and I assume they have on Spotify and SoundCloud and stuff. Stay cool, stay safe. Remember, support your local musicians and artists at this point in time. As either hell more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Catch you next review. Spider hands out.